Welcome back. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. It's because I've been reading about slow coffee, which is becoming quite a thing. There are two systems. One is a drip system where it slowly drips, but this more appeals to me because it's a very slow system that you just use overnight with cold water. You're kind of just sort of seeping it in cold water. I've got here a jar. You could use any jar. You can use a pitcher, but you need to seal it because I get a lot of flies. And you need some whole beans because you don't want to grind it to a powder. That apparently will not give you the result you want. It's slow, so it needs to go in. It doesn't need to be a powder form because it's not a quick process. So you can have larger pieces of your grain and you can put it in the water overnight. They say 12 to 24 hours. Well, we're going to taste this. It's drunk a lot in the summer as a sort of refreshing drink. And I thought I'd also show you one of these little things that we've got. It's a gorgeous little gadget. It catches the grains down there. This little thing here, you can change it so you can raise or lower the depth of your cut. So you end up with very, very fine powder or coarser grains. And it really does produce a fine, fine powder because I've been using it for making very, very fine, fresh pepper. But you open it and you put your grains in. I've already tested and adjusted it for the sort of setting I want. And then we grind it. But this is difficult to age. This is a Peugeot manufacturer. They did saws, they did things for the kitchen, knives, and then they started doing the moulins in about 1840 because it became quite a fashion. They still produce very good pepper mills and other mills. We know them for cars now, but this was one of their big things. And this is a sought after collector's piece, but I'm not parting with it because it actually produces a very good result. Now you can hear you can hear the difference in the grind. When it's a powder, it's a much softer sound. This is quite a coarse sound. And I'll show you what it looks like in the little sprung box underneath. This is how I've chosen to do it because I understand that's about the right type. There's also slow roasting, and I haven't been able to find any of that. But if you've got your green beans, you can slow roast them. But when I was very young, little girl, they used to roast them in a shop that I used to walk past, and it stank. And there is no way I want that acrid smell in my home. So I won't be doing that. Well, the grinding is slow. And there are even museums and collections of these things. My French friends have all had some of these that their grandparents have left and used, although they're all changing to pods. Actually, you can have a look because I can do this slowly and carefully. It won't bounce and you can see what's happening. If I just and we're getting right down to the very bottom now. But if you go a little bit faster, it flies out. That's it, you're through. So it didn't take an awful lot of time. And now you've got all of that coffee ground. It actually smells slightly sweeter and less acrid than when it's done in the electric mill, doesn't it? I might adopt this and have to get another one for my fine pepper. Now, it's actually it's bumped it up and made a larger quantity than, but there you go. Now I'm just going to fill it up with cold water. I'm sure people will give you a whole thing about using only filtered water, making certain that it's bottled water, but now the whole point of this is that it produces more of a caramelized, more sweet and less astringent flavour. But we'll see, and I'll tell you what it's like, because it's drunk a lot by coffee lovers in the summer. And it's not a big deal to put that in the fridge overnight. I'm using one of these to make a more of an airtight seal. And we just leave that in the fridge. And we'll try it tomorrow. And I think that's a good idea, don't you? I love trying these things. Welcome back. It's been quite a few days because, well, it wasn't so simple. I needed to find out whether 1 day in the fridge or 2 days in the fridge, and also what difference it made using different grains. And I'll just show you, and while it's doing, I'll tell you about it. This has been sat in the fridge for 2 days, and it's got a little magnet on it, which was a clever little thing because I get them muddled up which one we're taking out, because I make a different one every day. So there it is. And you need a jug of some sort, one of these little filter things, or a strainer and a cloth, whatever you want to do to basically separate your liquid from your grains. And you can see how gloriously crystal clear it is. It glows. It doesn't look like that when they make coffee using the hot method. In fact, we've been so impressed with this that all through the summer we're drinking this. I don't think we would want it in the winter. I really don't. It's a smooth, very chocolatey, no bitterness, very complex flavour. And there is a huge difference. We had an expensive free trade Nicaraguan to start with. And we found that coarse and fiery even after 2 days. And I couldn't live with that very much. So we then tried this Columbian, the cheapest, except for this one, from Lidl. Both of these are available in Lidl. And we found that when we did the Columbian for 1 day, it was smoky and a bit chocolatey, but the second day it became less smoky and more chocolatey. We tried a Brazilian, and that became more smoky the second day and much more chocolatey. But when we put the two into a blend together, I think this one is 50p more than this one, and they're actually €5 for the bag.
5.50 and 6, I think now.
5.50 and 6, so one of them's gone up more. But this is an awful lot cheaper than the free trade and all the other things I've been looking at. This is cheap coffee. But when we mix the two grains together, it was extraordinary. It was infinitely more chocolatey. You'd honestly think it had chocolate melted into it. And the smokiness had not stayed smoky, but it became a much more complex, incredible flavour. So we've now got nearly very nearly. But you can see it's bright, it's shiny, it's a beautiful liquid. And we're going to serve it cold. I think the fancy restaurants put ice cubes in it, and they're charging about €5 a glass for this. You drink it cold. The whole point is that if it's cold and you make it soaking it cold, it allows a different complex flavour to develop compared to doing it hot and quick. But you do have to prepare it beforehand. And there is a big difference between 24 hours and 48 hours in the fridge, I do promise. And this was our favourite blend. And we've been doing one of these every day to try for over a week now. And there's no doubt about it. So I'm just going to remove that. We're going to pour this one out. Just look at it. Now, I've got some milk. You don't have to add milk. You can just add ice cubes. I don't really like ice cubes in things. They bang against my mouth. I can't. They look nice. And when I was a child, I loved them. But we like it with very, very ice cold milk. And it's been 42 degrees here in the last few days. And we had that canicule. Now, the only thing you have to remember is drink it in moderation, because I promise it's so smooth and chocolatey and velvety and it's just magical that you will want to hit it over and over and over again. Don't do that, because you've actually put more caffeine in this liquid than you do when you produce it espresso or filtered hot. So remember that. Now, this, I promise, will revolutionize the way you feel about coffee. Having told you how wonderful it is, it still never fails to amaze you. It's so chocolatey, rich, smooth. I'll tell you what the closest thing to this is. A chocolatey liqueur served on ice, but not one of those sweet ones. If it came not sweetened, this is what it would be. And it is fabulous and so simple. And yes, I've got this clever little gadget here to do, but you could use something, but don't let the grains go hot while you grind them. And I would recommend these two little products, mix them together as an infinitely wonderful way to start. And I'm sure you will experiment and experiment and experiment, because it's worth it. And we should be drinking this all through the summer. So do enjoy. That's good.